Hey, how's it going, friends? Thank you for tuning in to VR Revelations. So it is still January 17th, the year of our Lord 2023. Currently it is 11:33 p.m., so it's pretty late at night here. But yeah, I was taking a look at news reports and I saw that it looks like, according to the Associated Press here, the Netherlands will be sending, or is thinking about sending, some Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine along with the United States. So we know that a while back, the United States promised that it would send just a few of these highly capable defense missile systems, the Patriot missile system. And as a matter of fact, they have actually started to train Ukrainian soldiers in the United States on how to use these systems. As we can see here, CNN is actually reporting on this. Ukrainians to start training on Patriot missiles in U.S. as soon as next week. Now, this was reported on January 11th, so as of the making of this video, they should have started training already on these systems. So let's take a quick look here at the article before we read the main article I want to show you, which is reporting on this news that the Netherlands is planning on also sending a couple of the Patriot systems that they bought from the United States. Ukrainian troops are set to begin training on the Patriot missile system in the United States as soon as next week, the Pentagon announced on Tuesday. The training program will take place at Fort Sill in Oklahoma, where the U.S. conducts its own training on operating and maintaining the advanced air defense systems. Fort Sill is one of the Army's 4 basic training locations and home to the service's Field Artillery School, which has been training service members for more than a century. CNN first reported the news earlier on Tuesday, with 2 U.S. officials familiar with the matter saying the decision had been made to begin training in the U.S. During the war, the U.S. has trained Ukrainian troops in Europe, but the decision to conduct Patriot training on American soil could increase tensions with Moscow further, as Russia's President Vladimir Putin has constantly warned Western nations against further involvement in the war. I would agree with that. The training process and eventual deployment of the defensive weapon system, which had long been requested by Kyiv. Of course, Ukraine has been requesting this and much more for a long time, since they really have no defense against, the better missiles that the Russians have. Will take months and won't impact the course of the war in the short term. So this is a very important statement there. This training here will take months, and it's not going to make a difference in the short term, which Ukraine desperately needs help in the short term here, as there's rumors of a large, imminent offensive by the Russian military. Though once it's completed, it should provide better protection against Russian missile attacks that have devastated the country's infrastructure. On Tuesday, Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Pat Ryder told reporters that 90 to 100 Ukrainian soldiers would be arriving in Oklahoma for the Patriot training as soon as next week. He was unable to give an exact time frame for how long the training would take. Now look at this. Typically, it takes up to a year for U.S. soldiers to be trained on it, saying only that it would last several months. So this is going to take a while. I'm not sure if the Ukrainians can wait a year, so they might try to make this training a lot quicker. But again, how reliable is that going to make the unit when they haven't gone through the normal training course, right? Now, what is this Patriot system? Let's go ahead and take a quick look here at Wikipedia. The MIM-104 Patriot is a surface-to-air missile system, the primary of its kind used by the United States Army and several allied states. It is manufactured by the U.S. defense contractor Raytheon and derives its name from the radar component of the weapon system. The AN-MPQ-53 at the heart of the system is known as the Phased Array Tracking Radar to intercept on target, which is a backronym for Patriot. The Patriot system replaced the Nike Hercules system as the U.S. Army's primary high to medium air defense system and replaced the MIM-23 Hawk system as the U.S. Army's medium tactical air defense system. In addition to these roles, Patriot has been given the function of the U.S. Army's anti-ballistic missile system, which is now Patriot's primary mission. The system is expected to stay fielded until at least 2024. And if we go further down here, we can see here that the Patriot system has been sold to the armed forces of the Netherlands, Poland, Germany, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Taiwan, Greece, Spain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Romania, and Sweden. South Korea purchased several second-hand Patriot systems from Germany after North Korea test-launched ballistic missiles to the Sea of Japan and proceeded with underground and nuclear testing in 2006. So you can see that definitely a couple of nations have these systems which they bought from Raytheon, or rather from the United States. And of course, the Netherlands, as we're reporting here, is one of those nations that has a couple of them. So it looks like they are planning on sending some of the ones they bought along with the United States. However, these are, it's only a couple of them. I think the United States is only sending like one or two. So, it's not going to make that big of a difference for Ukraine, but it's definitely going to help them out wherever they do deploy them. And I think they're specifically, like, their main purpose is for ballistic missiles. I don't think they'll be highly capable against Russia's most advanced missiles, like their hypersonic missiles, their Zircon missiles, which can reach speeds of like Mach 7, I believe, like 7 times the speed of sound. Absolutely ridiculous. But you can't say that they're useless. Of course, this is what the United States is using. But again, it all depends on the training, right? If it takes a year, how good can, how much of a use can the Ukrainians make of it if they only get half of that time to learn these systems? So before we jump into the main article, let's go ahead and take out another one here. This is actually from last year, December 16th. This website is Breaking Defense here. They actually sort of talked about, the Patriot system here when the news was announced that the U.S. was planning on sending these systems over to Ukraine. And I just want to read some areas here where they talked about how, this isn't going to save Ukraine. It's not going to make that huge of a difference. So, let's see here. It says, and while the weapon system would provide the Ukrainian military with a leap forward in air defense capability, particularly in the realm of ballistic missile defense, experts raised questions about the impact that one Patriot battery could make on the battlefield, as well as the long-term ability for the United States to continue supplying Ukraine with replacement missiles for the expensive system. Right? Let's go down here. So it says, this is a political gesture of support, he said. What we're sending, which I believe is one battery, is not going to protect Ukrainian cities, plural. It's going to protect one spot somewhere. The defended area of what we're sending is going to be rather limited. During a December 15th briefing, Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder declined to comment on U.S. plans to provide Patriots to Ukraine. Obviously, now we know they are. However, he did address statements by Russian officials that such a move would be provocative, saying that Russia would not be allowed to dictate what security assistance the United States provides to Ukraine. The Raytheon Technologies made MIM-104 Patriot is a surface-to-air missile system designed to combat a range of threats, including aircraft, cruise and ballistic missiles, loitering munitions, and drones. Now, pay attention to this here. A Patriot battery typically consists of anywhere from 6 to 8 truck-mounted launching systems, each with 4 launch canisters that can accommodate up to 4 missiles at a time. A battery which is manned by about 90 soldiers. So this is a massive system that requires 90 soldiers just to operate it, because they have to, one of them has to be in the truck, the other ones have to be next to the missile launcher, the other ones have to be looking at the radars. It's a whole complex, right? A battery which is manned by about 90 soldiers also includes a radar used to detect and track targets, the control system, a high-frequency antenna mast, and power generators, according to CSIS Missile Defense Project. So you can see why it normally takes about a year, to train American soldiers on how to use these systems. But again, I'm sure they're not going to wait a year. That would just be ridiculous with the situation that is taking place right now in Ukraine. So again, how effective are the Ukrainian soldiers going to be with these systems if they only get, let's say, half that time, 6 months, to learn how to use them? So I do have a video here of the missile system in action. It's only 50 seconds, so let's go ahead and take a quick look here.
The primary surface-to-air missile system, or SAM, in use by the United States Army is the MIM-104 Patriot. The phased array tracking radar to intercept the target component of the missile has given the name to the U.S. Army's primary high to medium air defense, or HIMARS system.
Let's go, keep going.
Having been tasked with the Army's anti-ballistic missile system as its primary mission, the Patriot uses high-performance radar.
So you can see the radar system here, guys. This is why you need about 90 men, because you got to have, soldiers on all this equipment here, right? This is all, the radar system is pretty much to detect, incoming missiles, and then you have to operate the rest of the equipment. So it's a massive complex there, a massive system there.
And an advanced aerial interceptor missile to destroy enemy aircraft and weapons.
All right, there you have it, guys. That is the Patriot missile system in action. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the actual article here, reporting on how the Netherlands is planning on sending some of their Patriot missile systems. I think it might be like one also, because, well, let's go ahead and take a look here. Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte said Tuesday that his country plans to join the U.S. and Germany's efforts to train and arm Ukraine with advanced defense systems. Rutte signaled the Netherlands, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, the Netherlands' intentions at the start of the White House meeting with President Joe Biden. The Dutch Defense Ministry said that Rutte's announcement came after Ukraine had asked the Netherlands to provide Patriot capacity. We have the intention to join what you are doing with Germany on the Patriot project, Rutte told Biden. I think that it's important we join that. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly address that the Netherlands had agreed to send Ukraine a Patriot battery, so it looks like it's only going to be one also. So there are now 3 guaranteed batteries, but this is only the beginning. We are working on new solutions to strengthen our air defenses, Zelensky said. So it looks like the U.S. is sending 2, and with the Netherlands sending 1, that would make 3 of them. Again, not that many, not going to make a huge impact, especially, if they're going to take a year to train these Ukrainian units. Rutte, who said he also spoke with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Tuesday about the potential assistance, was more vague about the commitment in his public comments. He told Dutch broadcaster NOS that his government is in talks about what exactly it can contribute. The Dutch military has 4 Patriot systems, one of which is not in service, according to the Defense Ministry. The idea is not only training, but also equipment, Rutte told NOS. He added that the Dutch military is now reviewing what exactly we have, how can we ensure that it works well with the American and German systems. He added during a forum at Georgetown University that the decision was a recognition that we all have to do more as Ukraine enters a critical phase in the war. which indeed it is, because Russia is about to achieve its military objectives, and so there's rumors of a large offensive here that Russia might be launching, according to Ukraine, possibly by March. So these systems can't come soon enough, but according to what we read there, if it takes so long to train them, they're not going to have them by the time Russia launches this suspected large offensive. So again, if the Russians are reading all of this, they're analyzing everything that the Western powers are doing in order to support Ukraine. So they're only going to try to anticipate and beat the Western powers and Ukraine to the punch, right? So they might take an aim for the head, and this large offensive, I'm suspecting, could be aimed at the capital to try and put an end to Zelensky and his government. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that. But this is what I think is going to happen, guys. Of course, I've mentioned I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible, and I believe that the United States, along with Russia, they're all just playing in the hands of God to fulfill his word. And the reason you're seeing all this hatred from the Americans, from the Western Ukrainians and all these other nations, is because God is putting an anti-Russian spirit in them, right? And also at the same time, he's putting in an anti-American spirit in the Russians. The Russians, are an instrument in the hands of God, and eventually I think this will all end in a world war. I think that's pretty much inevitable, but in my personal opinion, I don't think that the U.S. is going to be willing to engage in a nuclear conflict over Ukraine, and I think we're going to see that revelation pretty soon. What I think could happen here is that if Russia does launch a large offensive, then Zelensky would be toppled that way by force, by the Russians. Or as Russia continues to advance and as they are now close to achieving their objectives of the special military operation, we could start seeing riots and protests against Zelensky. So his own people could possibly turn on him. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye out on that. But I think what is most likely is that the Russians will launch another offensive at the capital. Now, this isn't strange, or it wouldn't be strange, because at the beginning of the war, they did exactly that. But the conditions are a lot different. They've had a lot of victories now. The Ukraine military is a lot weaker. And all this support that's coming in is very minor, and it's taking a while. Germany just said that they might not be able to send their Leopard tanks till next year. So, like I said, it looks like the writing is on the wall here. But let's. I just want to show you here. This was 10 hours ago. Judge Napolitano was talking to Colonel Douglas McGregor once again, and so he asked him about the possibility of nuclear war. And then let's go ahead and take a look here just to end the video.
Colonel, do you fear that the United States of America may precipitate a nuclear exchange rather than...
Again, I don't think at the end, when push comes to shove, I don't think the United States, in my personal opinion, is going to be willing to get engaged in a nuclear conflict over Ukraine. And I think that's going to be revealed this year.
And suffer the loss of this proxy war, which at the present moment seems inevitable?
Well, Judge, that's always been my nightmare. I'm not concerned about a bolt out of the blue attack by the Russians. I've always been concerned that we would then, under the circumstances we've described, when the Ukrainian military capability simply collapses and the state is in ruins and its government is ineffective and unavailable to rule, that we would then try to intervene some way or another. And this intervention then would precipitate a collision with the Russians that we would lose. And when I say lose, again, it's back to simple mathematics and an understanding of who holds the high ground. We're fighting on Russia's doorstep. If the Russian army sent 100,000 troops to the Mexican border, we would crush them simply because they're on our border, and we could put 1 million men on the border and ultimately crush them.
So it's just logistics, is what he's saying. It's hard to, be victorious in a war where you're literally traveling across the world to fight on the enemy's border. That's what he's saying right there.
So we would lose. Then the question is, do we accept ignominious defeat and withdrawal or not? And again, this goes back to the other issue we've discussed, which is NATO. We keep hearing this: if NATO doesn't win, if we don't win, NATO's in trouble. So we essentially turn this into an existential question for us when it never was. It's existential for Russia. What happens in Ukraine is an existential matter, but not for us. Yet we've made it that. And so there's a...
So that's I think in the end, the United States is not going to go all in for Ukraine. And I think they are going to be embarrassed on the world stage, and they are going to be weakened internationally. But again, this is all going to lead up to that new world order I've talked about, where the United States sort of creates a new world order with its allies. And then on the opposite side, you'll have Russia and China. We could possibly see a conflict pretty soon between the United States and China over Taiwan. But this is going to create a wedge, right, as it already has. And so Russia's going to come out victorious, and they're going to seem like the big bad boogeyman on the world stage. And so the United States will create a new world order with its allies. And eventually, in the near future, I believe, we will have a nuclear conflict. But I'll get into more details on that belief in later videos.
Real probability that if the Russians move in, and I think they will sooner than later, and crush the Ukrainians, that NATO will be in trouble. The alliance is going to stand around, and many members are going to say, well, why am I in this? If the United States is not going to commit itself to an all-out war, why should we be members?
Do we know of any back channel negotiations going on?
That could be another possibility, that the United States sort of commands Zelensky to seek a peace deal. But again, I think that's very unlikely. That would also be a major embarrassment for the United States and Zelensky. So there you have it, guys. Just wanted to show you that quick video there. So again, it seems like nations are pledging a little bit more support for Ukraine, but it's really insignificant at this point. So really, they're all just waiting to see if Russia is going to launch this major offensive, which I believe they will here. Anyways, the truth is stranger than fiction. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. I'd appreciate it. Also, make sure you give the video a like and make sure you subscribe for future content. Also, you can support the channel in the links in the description, guys. I do have a backup channel on Rumble in case this were to get striked or shut down by YouTube. So make sure you go and take a look at that and subscribe over there. That's going to be it, guys. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you. I'll be coming out with more videos tomorrow, God willing.